this computer. Okay, so welcome everyone to our first ever group high performance coaching session by the incredible Sarah Arnold Hall. And Sarah is joining us from Wellington today. We on Wednesday conducted a masterclass which was called The Habits of Billionaires. A lot of you were there and some of you were not there. We have a recording in place so you can watch it again. But fundamentally, the purpose of the session is you can have a question and Sarah will address that question. Specifically, if you have something to do with habits, which is the topic we discussed, habits that you're like struggling with, that you want to implement, if you feel there are roadblocks in place, ask the question to Sarah. She's going to be your person today. Sarah, I'm going to pass it over to you in a second. Just one other thing is that Sarah is a phenomenal person. I have known her for nearly 2 years of the Hire Her journey. She is one of the first ever people that saw the Hire Her platform. She's been an incredible advocate and just a source of inspiration. So I'm going to put myself on mute now and I'm going to pass it over to Sarah to introduce herself and start the session. Thank you very much, Sarah.
Thank you, Priscilla. I'm so happy to be here. Like, as you guys know, Priscilla's amazing and what she's created, and she's such an action taker. I was just saying before this, I was celebrating her for creating Hire Her, because a lot of people would talk about creating something like that and not do it. And so I was just celebrating how amazing that is, and to have Hire Her Elite now is so cool as well. So that's awesome. So today, really what I think would be the most helpful thing is the more of you that I can actually coach like live is awesome. But if you don't want to be coached live, and we may not have enough time for everybody, put your question in the chat and I can address it. If it's something that's like short or quick, I can totally address it. If it's something that you think like you need some more intense coaching on, please raise your hand if you'd like coaching, as in like there's a little reaction thingy. I can put it there. You can see that my hand is like raised. And that will just mean that I know that you'd like to come on for actual coaching like in person. Otherwise, you can just put your questions in the chat. And even if you don't get a chance to be coached in person and you wanted to today, we will have more of these sessions with me. But also, like, so many of the things that we're going to talk about will be relevant to everyone. So you can think about, as everyone else is being coached, how is this relevant to me? Okay, so let's do Grace. Let's start with Grace, just because you sent one in, and then Shannon, I can see your hands there, so that would be cool. All right.
Cool. Just give me 2 secs.
All right, no worries. I can sort of, because Grace sent a question in, I have some kind of a general grasp, Grace, on what you were talking about, which was kind of feeling overwhelmed by all of the different habits that you feel like you have to implement.
Oh yeah, I think I mentioned on the call the other day when I was talking to the ladies, I was like, definitely had some anxiety come up around everything and go, oh, there's a lot in this list that I definitely have not implemented in any such way, and I need to, and definitely think that it's a issue for me in terms of going, okay, cool, so I need to implement all of these steps, and they're all very, they're as important as another, but then I go, okay, I need to implement this one, and then, oh no, but if I need to implement this one, I need to dial it back, and I need to implement this one. Oh, but if I'm going to implement this, and I have to dial it back, and I keep dialing it back, and okay, now I'm overwhelmed because I don't know where to start, because they all connect into one another, and then I just end up in some giant pit of, oh my God, what do I do?
Yes. Okay. So the key thought that I picked out from there is I don't know where to start. That's definitely going to create a feeling of anxiety and overwhelm, right? And then what happens when you're in anxiety and overwhelm? What do you do or not do?
Oh my gosh, I paralyze. Nothing happens. Yeah. I'm definitely the paralyzer.
And then what result do you get because you've not done anything? What changes?
Stress, and nothing changes, just get stress and frustration because I haven't got anywhere, and then more pressure on myself, and it just kind of continues to spiral.
Yeah. Okay. So notice that it's not having all of these things to do. It's your thought that you don't know where to start. because that's what's creating anxiety and overwhelm. Or the thought, there might be other layers of thoughts like there's too many things to do or too many places to start, right? But it's the thinking that's creating the feeling of overwhelm for you, not the fact that there's actually lots of things to do. Because I always joke that like if a monkey or a baby or an alien looked at your like list of things to do, it would just feel nothing. It wouldn't be like anxious or overwhelmed, right? Because it's just the thoughts that you're thinking about it. So what would you prefer to feel? Like, what emotion do you want to feel about this?
I guess focused and maybe not even necessarily organized, because I feel like that comes with time once you've got some of these things set up, but at least focused and comfortable with where I'm at in terms of my prioritizing and moving forward. And I always believe in being always a little bit uncomfortable. I feel like that's how we grow, but knowing that I'm moving forward and actually achieving something and feeling good about that, I suppose, is probably where I'm at.
Okay, yeah. And so what result would you like to see? Like short term, let's say in this next week, what outcome would you like to happen? Because right now the outcome is no change, right? What's the outcome you want to see?
Even if just implementing like 5% of what needs to be done, or even just creating a plan to implement 5% of what's been needs to be done.
Yeah, okay. And what would that take? Like, what's that going to involve if you
time? Yay. One thing we all severely lack in, isn't it? Yeah, probably time and focus, like making time and sitting down and trying to tell myself that just because I'm not technically getting paid for doing this work doesn't mean that it's not important and it needs to be done. So definitely an issue.
Yeah, I hear you. Okay, so let's the key piece is for you to actually just sit down and create some time to do it. How much time do you need?
Oh my gosh, I literally wouldn't know.
If you're going to implement 5% of one of the things, what would be what's the one thing you're going to implement? Like if you were to do 5%.
I feel like goals would be the first place to start, I guess, setting up some goals. So probably an hour setting up some goals.
Yeah, okay. So 1 hour setting, I'm just making notes as I go so that I keep my brain on track. 1 hour setting goals. Then what feeling would you need to have if you're going to create an hour in your week, in the next week, to set goals? Because anxiety and overwhelm is not it, right? What would be the emotion that you would have to feel if you were going to sit down and spend 1 hour goal setting?
Probably like strength and confidence and trust in myself that I can do it.
Okay, yeah. And so right now the thought, I don't know where to start, that's not creating strength and confidence for you, right?
No, definitely not.
So we need to find a thought for you that's going to give you strength and confidence. What would you need to believe about starting this habit or doing 1 hour in order to feel strength and confidence? Like we need an antidote thought to I don't know where to start. It needs to be like something to cancel that thought out.
I guess probably something, it always seems cliche, but I guess something along the lines of like starting imperfectly is still starting, is still doing something.
Yeah, that's a great thought, right? Starting imperfectly. Why is that true?
Because at least it means that things are getting done, really, isn't it? It's better than sitting there and being like, no, you can't do this because it's not perfect. Yeah. Perfectionism is a serious problem.
What if you totally do know exactly where to start and you're just telling yourself you don't? Like if I made you start today.
I don't know. Maybe, I'm not sure. Like,
I think it's possible that you would know where to start if I was like, I'm going to give you $1 million if you can sit down for 1 hour and goal set.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, potentially.
What would you do? How could you start?
Where do I want to be in, I don't know, by the end of the year? What do I want to be doing by the end of the year? What do I want to have achieved?
Amazing. So look at that. You totally knew where to start. As soon as I asked you, like, well, where are you going to start? If you have $1 million, you have to do this. So you're telling your brain a story that isn't true, right? I don't know where to start. And that's creating the anxiety, but it's just not true. Right? So when you think this thought starting imperfectly is better than imperfect, right? Or better than, starting imperfectly is better than trying to get it perfect. You can also think, I know exactly what to do.
Yes, I can.
Right? If you really believe that thought, I know exactly what to do, would that give you the strength and the confidence to start?
Yes, because then at least I can't, there's no excuse in listening to myself to think otherwise.
Yeah. Do you think you could practice that thought? I know exactly what to do.
I can definitely, I hate saying try, but yeah, I can definitely try.
Yeah. So this week, starting imperfectly, and I know exactly what to do. Or even I know exactly what to do to start imperfectly.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah. Write that thought down, and then that's your thought you're going to have to practice. Now, and this is for everyone, a thought I used to think that a thought would become a belief if I just said it over and over in the mirror, right? Like, I am worthy, I am amazing. But it only becomes a true belief when you have evidence. And so you have to look for reasons why it's true that you're worthy, or that you know exactly where to start. And that when you start to build that evidence, then your brain goes, oh yeah, that's true. I get it. Now I can believe it, and now I can feel confident and strength. Right? So Grace, this week, writing down that thought, your job is to look for evidence for why that's true. And then you begin. Yeah?
Yeah.
Does that feel clear?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Do you feel complete?
I feel more confident than I was 20 minutes ago.
All right. That's good to know. Thank you, Grace.
Thank
Yay.
you.
Awesome.
That was amazing, Sarah. That was so good, Grace.
Awesome. So we, I know, Priscilla, sorry, you were saying that we had another anonymous one to do, and then Shannon, you also had your hand up, right? Priscilla, would you like me to do the anonymous one first?
Yeah, I think you've got it on Messenger, Sarah, the second one I sent you.
Yeah, that's cool. Okay, so this person was asking about professional envy. So they were feeling envious of someone else in there who does a similar line of work to them. And so this is going to be essentially the professional envy is coming from a thought that is making the envy is the feeling, right? So kind of like what I did with Grace is our thoughts create our feelings, which drive our actions, and our actions produce our results. So it goes thought, feeling, action, result. And so envy is the feeling, and this person has identified the feeling that they're feeling, but figuring out the exact thought that is creating the envy will really help. So it might be something like, I'm never going to get there, or they're just so much better than me, or why can't I do that? Something that's creating that envy. Now we have to find the emotion that you want to feel instead of envy. And then so it could be something like inspiration, or relaxed, some kind of feeling that you would want to feel instead of envy. That's the first part. And then you want to find the thought that's actually going to create that emotion. And oftentimes we say that the thought, like it doesn't matter what, actually there was one, I think that she shared something along the lines of like, it doesn't, like just because she has it doesn't mean I can't have it. But if that could be a thought that could create a new feeling, but if it doesn't make you feel the feeling you actually want to feel, then we haven't found the right thought yet. Right? So if you're thinking like, oh, it's, I can have it too, and she can have it as well, but it doesn't actually make you feel inspired, or it doesn't make you feel calm, or whatever the emotion is, then you have to find a new thought. So you really want to pick the feeling that you want to feel, and then find the thought that's going to create that feeling. It doesn't have to be believable yet. So you can come up with a thought like, let's say if the feeling was inspired and the thought was, is like, actually her having the thing that I want is going to help me get it. Like for me, that would feel like a really inspiring thought. I have no idea how that could be true yet, right? Like, how is she going to help me get it? I don't know. Her having more, I don't know. But I don't need to fully believe it yet. I just have to find the thought that's going to make me feel better about it. And now my job is to get to work to find all of the evidence of why that could be true. So it could be true because we end up doing a collaboration and all her followers end up following me. Or it could be true that someone else sees her and then doesn't want to work with her, but wants to work with me because they clicked with me more, but found me through her or something. Like, you can start to look for all the reasons why the thought that you came up with is true. Is this kind of confusing, or is this resonating? Tell me, if anyone's confused, please let me know, or any questions about it. Or Priscilla, if you feel like you want to moderate my crazy thought patterns.
No, I just wanted to check in if any of the girls wanted to, because I think it is a very common emotion, particularly with social media, and you're sort of like witnessing the lives of all these other people running businesses and telling you these specific stories, but you don't necessarily know if that is true or not, but you know how it makes you feel. And on a shit day, social media can be horrible, to be honest, because you could go on there, and if you're doubting yourself and you're just not feeling great, and you're seeing everybody like nailing the F out of life and their business, like that's where like what Sarah's talking about right now around being like able to identify that thought, like that envy emotion or whatever you're feeling, and then being able to quickly replace that particular thought with something that's more powerful is really important, because otherwise you might have like the rest of your day could really go downhill if you're having a bad day. And I'm saying this because I have moments where I often would have that emotion and start to doubt myself completely, and then I'll just have a bad day. And so like that technique you're talking about, Sarah, is something that I've recently been trying to apply into my own life and business, so that I don't let the feeling get in the way of the action that I need to be taking on those.
It's really key. The way that I like to think about it is it's not on, your thoughts are not only your perception of the world, they are also your creation of your next result. So even if let's say it was true that somebody is doing better than you in some way, that's not going to then help you take action. So it's not helpful to think it, even if it could be like a true thought. Most of the thoughts we think aren't even true anyway. They used to think that babies didn't feel pain, and that the sun revolved around the earth, right? Like all of these things that were taken as fact before are no longer considered true anyway. Most of the thoughts we think are delusional. You might as well pick a thought that's actually going to get you the result you want.
Yes.
Than to pick a thought that's
and
like,
that's the emotion factor, because sometimes like, but you also have to identify like what gives you that emotion of going, okay, well, you know what, screw this shit. I don't care what you're doing on social media. I don't care what your business is doing. Good on you, mate. I'm going back to doing my shit in my business, or to doing whatever I need to do in my life to get the results I want. Because and sometimes like now I'm like, you feel like shit, don't look at Instagram. Get away. Like, this is the best method. Result, don't look at Instagram, go back and go do some work, Priscilla. Like, see what you're made of, because you can only control the forces internally. You can't control anything externally.
That's so true.
Yeah, I hope that helped girls.
Thanks, Priscilla. Shannon, did you have your hand up before?
Yeah, I didn't really have a question formulated.
That's okay. What's coming? Which habit are you working on?
I'm working on like vision and creating goals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what's coming up for that what's coming up around that for you right now?
Well, one thing, when Grace was talking, I was thinking that maybe I have the opposite of what she has, and that I'm a starter, but I'm not very good at finishing projects. Mm-hmm. So I'm good with clients and with deadlines, but I have a lot of like projects that I'm like, oh, that would be cool, and start it and then never finish it, because I have no motivation to like see it through.
Yeah. Okay. So tell me if I'm correct that I just heard you say that you will finish things for clients, but not for yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So there's something called the 4 tendencies. Have you ever heard of that framework?
No.
If anybody's heard of it, you can tell me in the chat that you've heard of it. But it's a framework that describes how we manage expectations. And so some people respond best to their external expectations from other people. So it sounds like you might be one of those people who, when other people want you to do something, it's really easy for you to do it, but you struggle a little bit to do it for yourself. Some people the other way around. Some people respond really, really well to their own desires and kind of don't respond well to other people's expectations and won't meet them. Some people are both, so they'll respond to both and they kind of end up trying to manage all of their own and everyone else's, and there's a lot on their plate. And some people respond to neither. So they don't respond to what other people want them to do. They don't respond to what they want themselves to do. And they struggle to they kind of want to do what they want in the moment and don't want to set any kind of hard boundaries on themselves. Does it feel like, can you see yourself in one of those categories?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'll give you I'm not sure if it's the same thing, but I'll give you kind of like an analogy in my personal life that kind of demonstrates so I've run a marathon before, and which is an awesome feat I'm really proud of, but I decided to tell my now husband, oh yeah, we should run a marathon, and we started training, and then I was like, oh, it's so much effort, I hate this. And the only reason I ran the marathon was because he's not a starter, but he's a finisher. And so he motivated me to do it. But then at the same time with my running, if someone's like, oh, you're going too slow, come on, you can keep up with me, or you can definitely do this, I will do the opposite.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It makes sense. I'll tell you why. My guess is that you're in the category that's called obliges, and obliges respond really, really well to external expectations, but not to internal expectations, until obliges have obliged and obliged and obliged and said yes and yes and yes and yes to so many things from everyone else that they then have like a snap moment and they rebel, and then they don't want to do anything. I've had it up to here. I'm doing everything for everyone else all the time. No, I'm not going to do that thing that you think you want me to do that. Absolutely not. Does that fit with what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the good thing about this tendency, and I can share afterwards, like in the Facebook group, I can share how everyone can do the quiz and figure out which one they are. But the good thing about this tendency is it means instead of fighting it and trying to motivate yourself all the time, the easiest thing you can do is to actually turn your internal expectations for yourself into external expectations. So you can get yourself a gym buddy or a marathon buddy, right? You can have someone else hold you accountable. And while you can do the work to motivate yourself, it's just going the long road when you can immediately just use the hack of having someone else hold you accountable to something, or create an external reason for you to do something, and then you will just make sure it gets done. So how would you apply that to what you're talking about now with setting these goals and working on that vision? How could you apply adding external accountability to that?
Well, I think we've already got it in the Facebook group.
Mm-hmm. And is it working?
Public goals, I suppose. More
Yeah.
public goals.
Yeah.
I haven't written them out yet.
Not yet. Why not?
I don't know. I just haven't formulated what my goals are. And actually, I've got a couple, I think.
Okay. Yeah. So you started?
Yeah, in my head.
In your head. Okay.
I need to write them down.
Sometimes when we have external accountability, but it's vague and there's no deadline, was there a deadline, Priscilla, on when Shannon had to do this by?
Yes, I have it on my notes. I think we said it was very vague, Shannon, July or August, but I'm going to keep her accountable.
Right, August. Yeah, okay. So August 1st, is that when you're thinking? Yeah. So by you doing that, that's fine. Like that definitely counts. And it's not like right now, well, why haven't you done it? Because it's not August 1st yet, right? Yeah, but you will get it done if it comes down to that. But knowing this about yourself means that you can look at all of the habits that you want to implement and not try to force yourself to do them. Like this is a perfect example is me. When it comes to exercise, I cannot get myself to do it if it's just me. I have to turn it into an external thing. And I've started going to a dance class that you have to pay for in advance. And if you don't like you have to pay $25 per class. And if you don't turn up, you don't get your money. And sometimes they penalize you as well. They'll actually charge you more if you don't turn up. So like, I'm like turning up. There's no way I'm not going, right? Instead of most of the time, I'm like, oh, I'll just put it on my calendar and like, hopefully I'll motivate myself to go for a walk every day. Like, it's just not happening.
Yeah.
Right? Why go the hard way?
How would you identify when that pushback comes?
Sorry, what was
How would you identify when that pushback comes, like that point when you're like, no, like I'm not doing.
Yeah, so this is when other people's expectations get too much for you, and then you start to push back, right? So your job is to filter through what you're actually going to say yes to, because it can be really hard as an obliger not to say yes to just everything everyone wants you to do all of the time.
Yeah.
Right. So what's one thing that you could see either that you've just committed to recently or that you can see coming up that maybe you could uncommit from?
Yeah, I can see that in like the clients that I like don't let go, but also don't like to work for.
Oh, this is a good one. Tell me about a client that you want to let go. Let them go yet?
I don't know.
What are you thinking? What's the thought that's making you not let them go? Like, think of one specific client that you want to let go.
I've got a client who like works in the like kind of the lending space, mortgage kind of space, and I just it's just I don't know, ethically it doesn't sit right with me.
Okay, but what's your thought that's keeping you staying?
Just probably that they like my work.
And if you leave them, then what is your brain saying? If you tell them you want to fire them, then what will happen?
Nothing. Like
Nothing.
I don't need them. Okay.
I said to you, amazing.
I'm really bad at letting them go.
You feel what?
I'm really bad at letting them go.
What if you just decided you were going to do it right now?
Yeah, I could.
Will you?
Yeah, I'll try. Yeah.
Okay, why does your brain want to go to try and not actually let them go? What is the thought?
I don't know. I enjoy my writing. I just don't enjoy the client.
Okay, yeah, so I enjoy the writing. I don't enjoy the client. So I shouldn't let them go because I'm enjoying the writing?
And they're also not a bad client. They're just like, yeah, not the client that I want.
Well, do you actually want to let them go?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah, okay, so you do want to let them go, but you're not doing it because you're thinking all of these thoughts like, oh, but I do enjoy the writing and blah, 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 right?
Yeah, I suppose so. Yeah.
What if you just decided to let them go and you told us in the Facebook group that you were going to that when you let them go, that you...
Yeah, I can do that. I'll do that today.
Yes, she's going to do it today, everyone. Woo! Awesome.
Go Shannon.
So good. I'm loving seeing all the comments. Grace knows the feeling. Yes. Carrie says she understands what you're saying, Shannon. That's awesome. Priscilla, are we out of time? How are we doing? Oh, you're on mute.
Whoops. Wait, yeah, we're 2 minutes past.
Okay, well, thank you everybody for coming, and we're doing this again the same time next week, right?
Yeah, 22nd of July. Yes, we are.
Yeah, so if you didn't get a chance to get coached today and you want to be coached, or you did today but you want to be coached again next week, please feel free to just bring your questions to the session. You can send them beforehand, but you're very welcome to just bring them to the session, either in the chat and I can coach just based off the chat, or in person.
That's beautiful. You're incredible, Sarah. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
For next week, we're still focusing on the conversation around habits, because we are going to be speaking about different topics every month, but we want to nail the topics when we do talk about them. We want to dive deep, and we actually want to help implement things to get results. And that requires being slow and steady and investing the time and the energy into the specific topic we choose. So if there is anything that you really want to harness or tackle from a perspective of habits, have your questions ready next Friday, because this is our very first session and you can see how phenomenal coaching is, and particularly with Sarah. So thank you, Sarah.
Thanks for having me.
Wonderful. Have a wonderful Friday, everybody. Have a beautiful weekend, and then we will kickstart next week. I'll be in touch in our Facebook group. And Shannon, when you are ready, please do let us know about just shedding the baggage of this client, because you're absolutely incredible. And if you don't want them, you don't need to have them. So let us know what we can do. If you need me and Sarah to be like, Shannon, have you done it yet? We're more than welcome to do that too, right? Because this is about the results. That's why we're here. And Grace, the same for you. Exactly the same. If you need us, whatever you require from us, let us know, because that's what we're here for. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Take care.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.